You know what's absolutely bizarre? You open Google Maps on your phone and it immediately shows a blue dot right where you're standing, down to like 10 feet. You visit a restaurant website and it instantly knows which location is closest to you. You search for pizza and Google shows you places within 2 miles of your exact position. And here's the thing that might shock you. Your phone isn't the only thing that knows where you are. Websites can figure out your location even on your laptop, even when GPS is turned off. Here's what nobody tells you about location tracking. Most people think it's all GPS satellites and cell towers, that websites ask your permission and then check your GPS. But that's only part of the story. What's actually happening is way sneakier and way more interesting than satellites beaming down your coordinates. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to understand exactly how websites pinpoint your location using methods you've probably never thought about, and why this invisible tracking changes everything about how privacy actually works online. Because once you see the tricks these systems use, you'll never think about website permissions the same way again. Here's what's really happening. Every time you visit a website that seems to know where you are, you're sitting at a Starbucks in Portland. You open your laptop, you go to weather.com to check if you need an umbrella today. The site immediately shows you Portland weather. You didn't type in your city, you didn't give it permission to access your location, but somehow it knows. Picture this scenario. It's Saturday morning. You're researching where to get brunch. You type "best brunch near me" into Google on your laptop. Within half a second, Google shows you restaurants ranked by distance from your current location. The closest one is 0.3 miles away. The next is 0.7 miles. It's showing you walking times and directions from exactly where you're sitting right now. But here's what most people assume is happening. They figure Google must be using GPS somehow. Or maybe cell towers are involved because you're on Wi-Fi that connects to the internet through your phone company. Makes sense, right? Those are the obvious explanations. But if you're on a laptop at home, you don't have GPS. Your laptop doesn't talk to cell towers. So how does Google know you're in Portland and not Phoenix? Everyone tells you that location services are something you control through settings on your phone or computer, that you either give apps permission to track you or you don't, that it's an on-off switch. But that's not what actually happens. What really happens is websites have multiple different methods to figure out your location. Some require permission, some don't, and some are so subtle you'd never notice them working. And this matters because everything you think you know about controlling your privacy online is based on the idea that you can just turn off location services and you're good. But websites can still figure out roughly where you are without ever asking. Not because they're hacking you, but because your internet connection itself reveals your location in ways most people never realize. It's not just about ads knowing which target to show you. It's about understanding that your physical location is constantly being inferred from dozens of tiny digital clues you're leaving everywhere you go online. And most of those clues, you can't turn them off without breaking how the internet works. There's this pattern I've noticed that I call the IP address fingerprint. This is when websites figure out your general location just from your internet connection without asking for any permission at all. And it's happening on every single website you visit. Here's how it works. Every device connected to the internet has an IP address. It's like a phone number for your computer or phone. When you visit any website, your device sends that website, your IP address, automatically. It has to. Otherwise, the website wouldn't know where to send the information back to. It's like when you order pizza, you have to tell them your address or they can't deliver. But here's what's sneaky about this. Your IP address reveals your approximate location. Not your exact house, but your city and sometimes your neighborhood. Because IP addresses are assigned by internet service providers geographically, all the IP addresses in Portland come from certain number ranges, all the ones in Miami come from different ranges. Websites have databases that map IP addresses to locations. It's like when you call someone and they see your area code. Even if you don't tell them where you're calling from, they know you're probably somewhere in that region. Your IP address works the same way. It's a geographic clue built into how the internet functions. This matters because you can't hide this. You can't turn off your IP address. If you do, websites can't send you information. You can use a VPN to fake a different location, but that's the only way. And most people don't use VPNs, so every website you visit immediately knows your general area without asking for any permission. Think about Rachel. Rachel's really careful about privacy. She never clicks allow when websites ask for location access. She turns off location services on her phone. She thinks she's completely private. But here's what Rachel doesn't realize. When she visits her local news website, it still shows her news for her city. When she searches for restaurants, Google still knows roughly where she is. Her IP address is giving her away every single time. Rachel thinks she's opted out of tracking, but she's only opted out of precise GPS tracking. The IP address tracking happens automatically in the background. She can't see it. She can't control it through normal settings. It's just part of how internet communication works. And websites use this to serve her local content, local ads, local weather, all without her explicit permission. Your brain actually does something similar when you meet someone new. You automatically pick up clues about where they might be from, their accent, the way they dress, references they make. You're not consciously tracking this information. Your brain just absorbs these signals and makes assumptions. Websites do the same thing with your IP address and other digital clues. But here's where it gets interesting. There's another method that's way more precise. I call it the permission gateway. This is when websites ask for your exact location using your device's GPS or Wi-Fi positioning. And here's what makes this particularly sneaky. Most people click allow without understanding what they're actually agreeing to. When a website wants your precise location, your browser shows a pop-up. Allow this site to know your location? You've seen this 1,000 times. If you click allow, here's what happens. Your phone or computer uses multiple methods to pinpoint exactly where you are. If you're on a phone, it uses GPS satellites. Those satellites can locate you to within about 16 feet. That's incredibly precise. But it gets even more interesting on devices without GPS. Your laptop uses something called Wi-Fi positioning. It scans for nearby Wi-Fi networks, even ones you're not connected to. It sees the names and signal strengths of all the Wi-Fi routers around you. Then your computer sends that list to a massive database that companies like Google and Apple maintain. These databases have mapped out millions of Wi-Fi networks and know exactly where each router is physically located. By seeing which routers you're near, the system can triangulate your position, often to within about 30 feet. All from Wi-Fi networks you're not even using. Wild, right? Your laptop doesn't have GPS, but it can still pinpoint your location by essentially looking around and recognizing the Wi-Fi landscape. It's like if you didn't know where you were, but you could see that you're near a Target, a McDonald's, and a specific Wells Fargo branch. That combination of landmarks would tell you exactly where you are. Wi-Fi positioning works the same way. This matters because people assume location tracking requires GPS or cell towers, but your laptop can track you just as precisely using only Wi-Fi. And here's the kicker, when you clicked allow on that website, you gave it permission to use all available methods. You probably thought you were just sharing your city, but you actually shared your precise coordinates. Here's what makes this even more surprising. Let me tell you about Jason. Jason's at home in his apartment in Denver. He's shopping for furniture online. Wayfair's website asks to know his location. Jason clicks allow because he wants to see which items can be delivered to his area. Makes sense, right? But here's what Jason doesn't realize is happening. Wayfair now knows his exact coordinates, down to which floor of which building he's on. They can infer his approximate income based on his neighborhood, they can guess his lifestyle from the area, they can target ads based on demographics of his specific location, and they can sell or share this data with advertisers and data brokers. Jason thought he was just helping the website show him relevant delivery options, but he actually gave the site access to incredibly detailed information about his life. All from one allow click. That seemed harmless. And this permission often stays active. Jason might visit Wayfair 6 months later and not realize they're still tracking his location every time. Your brain has a similar blind spot about permission. When someone asks, "Can I ask you a question?" you automatically say yes because it seems polite. But you haven't heard the question yet. You don't know what you're agreeing to. Clicking allow on location requests works the same way. It feels like the socially correct response, even though you don't fully understand what you're consenting to. Now, here's where things get even more sophisticated. There's a third method I've noticed that almost nobody talks about. I call it the clue collection. This is when websites infer your location from all the other information you're giving them, even without any official location tracking at all. Think about all the things you do online that reveal where you are. You search for local businesses, you check local weather, you read your city's news, you visit your local Target's website to see if they have something in stock. Each of these actions is a clue about your location, and websites collect these clues to build a profile of where you probably are. Plus, your browser settings reveal your time zone, the language and regional settings on your computer. Even the time you're most active online can hint at where you are. If you're browsing at 2 a.m. and your computer settings show Eastern Time, you're probably on the East Coast. All of these tiny pieces of information add up. It's like being a detective. You don't need a confession if you have enough circumstantial evidence. If someone mentions they commuted through the Lincoln Tunnel, complained about humidity, and talked about getting dollar pizza, you can be pretty confident they're in New York City even if they never explicitly said so. Websites do this same kind of inference with your digital behavior. This matters because you might think you're being private by denying location permissions. But if you're searching for best tacos in Austin and checking Austin weather and reading the Austin Chronicle, the website doesn't need your GPS. They've already figured out you're in Austin from your behavior patterns, but here's what nobody wants to admit about all of this. The real reason websites can track your location so effectively isn't because the technology is particularly advanced. It's because we've built an internet where revealing your location is necessary for basic functionality. And once that door is open, it's almost impossible to close it again. What's actually happening is we traded privacy for convenience. We want websites to show us local restaurants. We want weather for our area. We want stores to tell us which locations have the item we need in stock. We want Google Maps to give us directions from wherever we are right now. All of these incredibly useful features require knowing our location, and once we've accepted that trade-off, websites realize they can use location data for all sorts of other purposes we never anticipated. Targeting ads, building behavioral profiles, tracking our movements over time, selling our patterns to data brokers. This isn't about websites being evil. It's about the fact that location data is incredibly valuable, and we keep giving it away because we want the convenient features it enables. And once you see this, you can't unsee it. Every time a website knows where you are, it's using one or more of these methods. IP address inference for rough location, permission-based GPS or Wi-Fi positioning for precision, or behavioral clues from everything you search for and click on. And most of the time, it's using all three together to build the most accurate picture possible. Let me tell you about two different people and how they handle location privacy. There's Mike. Mike's aware that location tracking exists, so he's careful. When a website asks for his location, he always clicks deny. He thinks he's protecting his privacy. He feels good about taking control of his data. But here's what Mike doesn't realize. Websites still know roughly where he is from his IP address. When he searches for hardware stores near me on Google, he's telling them his approximate location through his search behavior. When he checks the weather for his city, he's confirming where he lives. Mike thinks clicking deny solved the problem, but he's still leaving a trail of location clues everywhere he goes. Plus, Mike gets a worse experience. Maps don't automatically center on his location. Restaurant sites make him manually enter his address every time. Weather sites default to some random city. He traded away convenience and still didn't get full privacy. Because the IP address tracking and behavioral inference happen regardless of what he clicks. Now compare that to Sophia. Sophia understands how location tracking actually works. She knows her IP address, reveals her general area no matter what. She knows her searches and browsing behavior create location clues. So instead of clicking deny on everything, she makes strategic choices. When Google Maps asks for her location, she clicks allow because that's a feature she actually wants and needs. When a random blog asks for her location for no good reason, she clicks deny. She uses a VPN when she wants true privacy for specific activities. She clears her cookies regularly to reset behavioral tracking. She understands that perfect privacy is impossible if you want basic internet functionality, so she picks her battles. Sophia gets the convenient features she wants when they're legitimately useful, and she protects her privacy when it actually matters. She's not paranoid, she's just realistic about how the system works. And because Sophia understands the trade-offs, she makes informed choices instead of just feeling helpless or confused. Notice how Mike felt like he was doing the right thing but actually gained almost nothing? While Sophia accepted the reality of how tracking works and made strategic decisions that balanced convenience with privacy, that's the fundamental difference. Mike thought denying permission solved everything. Sophia understood that location tracking happens through multiple channels, so she managed them intelligently. Here's what most people don't realize about location tracking online. It's not actually about websites being sneaky or invasive. It's about the fundamental architecture of the internet, requiring location information for tons of basic features we use every day. The people who handle this best aren't the ones who try to block everything and end up frustrated. They're the ones who understand the different methods websites use and make informed choices about when location sharing is worth it. And once you see it this way, everything changes about how you think about privacy. It's not a binary thing you either have or don't have. It's a spectrum of trade-offs where you're constantly choosing between convenience and privacy. Your IP address always reveals your rough location. That's unavoidable unless you use a VPN. Precise tracking requires permission, but you often want to give that permission for legitimate features. And behavioral inference happens in the background, but you can minimize it by being thoughtful about your searches and browsing. So here's what we've uncovered. Websites know your location through multiple methods working simultaneously. Your IP address reveals your city or neighborhood automatically without any permission. GPS and Wi-Fi positioning give precise coordinates when you click Allow on permission requests. And your search behavior and browsing patterns create a trail of clues that websites use to infer where you are, even without official tracking. Plus, this whole system exists because we demanded features that require location data. We want personalized experiences. We want local search results. We want apps that work seamlessly wherever we are. The tracking is the price we pay for that convenience. And for most people, it's a price worth paying, they just don't realize they're paying it. And remember how we talked about Mike clicking deny on everything but still being tracked through IP addresses and behavior? That matters because most people think privacy settings actually give them control. But the settings only control one method of tracking. The other methods keep working in the background, whether you understand them or not. The question isn't whether websites can figure out where you are. They obviously can through multiple redundant methods. The question is whether you'll recognize when you're trading location data for convenience and decide if that trade-off makes sense. Because now you know it's not just about GPS. It's about IP addresses, Wi-Fi networks, and everything you search for, painting a picture of exactly where you are. You can't unknow this now. Every time a website shows you local results without asking permission, you'll realize it's reading your IP address. Every time you click Allow on a location request, you'll know you're sharing precise coordinates. Every time you search for something local, you'll understand you're confirming your location through behavior patterns. So next time a website seems to magically know where you are, ask yourself which method are they using? Is it my IP address giving away my city? Did I click Allow sometime in the past and forget about it? Or am I revealing my location through what I'm searching for and clicking on? Because the answer is probably all three working together to build the most accurate picture of exactly where you're sitting right now.